It was a small young family.
I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Oconee County Planning Commission. Our first order of business is to look at the agenda.
Invocation.
Call to order. We're gonna order.
Well, I did that. Invocation.
Yes, sir. Pray with me, if you like. Father, I'm going to dedicate this meeting to you. I just ask for your wisdom to be in this place, your presence to be here. Thought and speech.
Amen. All right, we'll have a pledge. Ms. Rand, would you like to lead us in pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, y'all read the minutes for the last meeting? Any corrections, or do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second?
A second.
All right, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. We have none. Mr. Markovich coming in now, so he may have something, so we can let him speak maybe later in the meeting. If need
Certainly.
be. Okay, staff update.
Certainly. Council will, at next meeting, be possibly sending us something involving creating a sliding scale for some or one of the other zoning districts, just like we have for the control-free district. And they asked for me to give a heads up to you all, since I don't have anything physical or exact to hand to you. I'm just going to tell you that we may end up working on something regarding creating that sliding scale, just like we all did for the control-free district. And that's all I got for the update.
Okay,
Is that a sliding scale setback?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
all right, and now we'll welcome our guest speaker from Oconee County Alliance, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Have I seen this in this?
Thanks, sir.
All righty, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you for allowing me to give you a quick update on what's happening in the economic development world. I appreciate the partnership of the planning department and the commission. The team with the planning department has been a great resource throughout the journey, and that journey is to continue to. Well, go ahead and hit a.
Not work.
No, it did work. Need a new battery, but go ahead and give me a little. Here we go. Oh, nope. All right. If you go back to the first slide there, thank you. Forget what I was saying now. That's the problem, not being able to control your speech. I got it now. All right. So, thank you again. To talk about basically our backyard. You see that picture right there? That's Lake Jocassee, overlooking beautiful Oconee County. We're very blessed by all the different economic indicators pointing to success is happening. Momentum is there, whether you're talking agribusiness, small business, manufacturing, real estate, selling insurance, doing banking objectives in the county. Things are well. We're certainly blessed. And our mission and our goal is to continue to be the geography of opportunity. When I talk about being the geography of opportunity, I talk about these various logos working in sync, working with you on the commission, working with many partners throughout the community, and continuing the economic momentum that we're all experiencing. Things are good, and we want it to continue. We, your alliance, this is who we are. This is what we do. We're focused on having Oconee County be the location of choice for investment decisions. We do not care if those investment decisions are manufacturing related, agribusiness related, small business related, downtown redevelopment related, putting a hotel in downtown Walhalla. We want all the investment decisions to benefit Oconee County, period. We do that by focusing on some core objectives. One is to diversify our economy. You've heard me say many times that we are a three-legged stool, and that is the truth. Agribusiness is where we were founded. As you look on the wall behind me, you see some great things about our history. Our history is rich, our history is diverse, and we want that to continue. Agribusiness is strong here. I'm excited about the farm center off 123. I'm excited about our manufacturing base. We have roughly 60 industries here making world-class products for a global audience. As you look out in the parking lot here, I see a Ford F-150. That transfer case was made in Seneca, South Carolina. I saw at Honda earlier, that engine valve was made in Westminster, South Carolina. I think a lot of times we forget what actually is made here and where it ends up and what we see going down the road. So again, we want to diversify our economy. We have a very strong manufacturing base. We have a manufacturing base that's tied into automotive, which is good. Automotive is good right now. Key words being right now. We want to diversify that so if and when we experience another downturn in the automotive sector, we do not get hit too hard. You look at a company like BorgWarner. BorgWarner has 900 employees. You look at a company like JTech Koyo, they have roughly 600 employees. You look at a company like Johnson Controls with over 300 employees tied into the automotive sector. At some point, maybe not within my lifetime, but I'd be willing to bet you within your grandchildren's lifetime and certainly my daughter's lifetime, she may not own a car. She may not drive that car physically. It may be driven for her, either by some more Uber drivers or by just great technology. So again, we want to diversify our economy so we continue the momentum going forward. We want to develop competitive assets, basically meaning we want to make sure the infrastructure is there in place to support our growth. We want to have the industrial parks ready for decisions to be made. This is the year 2018, as everyone knows, and no longer can you just stick a for sale sign on a piece of dirt and hope and pray that you've set the price right and somebody comes knock on your door. We compete against a global audience. If we are not ready, Anderson is, Greenville is, Toccoa is, Atlanta is. So we have to continue to develop competitive assets so that we do not get eliminated. Companies look for reasons to eliminate, not to sit there and say, hey, we love you, we're coming to town. Again, it's based on a lot of different criteria, whether it's key inputs, customers, or suppliers. Generally, those are the three objectives that a company's looking at. And when we are not ready, when we do not have a site for a BMW supplier, I guarantee you, because we've seen it, they drive down the road to the next available property. So we want to develop competitive assets. We want to nurture strategic partnerships. We want to work with you. We want to work with those that are watching this on YouTube. We want to work with our cities, our school district, and many more. Again, we accomplish a lot by working together. We want to tell our story. No one can tell this story better than us, meaning us as a community. We know some of the hidden gems in our community, like Lake Cherokee. Everybody knows Lake Jocassee and Lake Hartwell and Lake Kiwi, but there's other beautiful places in Oconee County that we need to get the word out. Along with, as I mentioned, there's stories here that need to be told. We take for granted some of the manufacturers here, some of the farmers here. You know, we've got an organic farmer that's supplying Whole Foods. That's a story that needs to be told and needs to be heard. So again, we want to tell that story both to people that live here so that they have pride as they pass by a Sealed Air and they know what Sealed Air makes, but also to people not familiar with Oconee County stories so they're like, huh, that place is more than just lakes, rivers, hiking, and whatnot. It does have a very vibrant manufacturing base. That vibrant manufacturing base, again, has created momentum. So last year, we had roughly 365 new jobs. Since 2012, we've had almost 1,500 new jobs. Since in 2017, we had $153 million in new capital investment. Best year ever in the history of the county. We had one single deal, the biggest deal outside of Duke Energy last year, thanks to Borg Warner's latest expansion, roughly a $72 million expansion. Since 2012, we've had $432 million in taxable investment. Again, that's representing 32 economic development deals, going back to diversifying our economy. We don't want to be a one-hit wonder. We want to diversify our economy so that many, many years from now, things are continuing to be vibrant. One thing that we track and something that we're very proud of is the partnerships going back to many partners are pulling on this rope in the same direction. Our unemployment rate is down to, it's hovering around historic lows. We haven't seen it this low since really the early 2001 era. It's down a full percentage point since July 17. If you look at how many people are working, this is something that I don't think most people understand. We have more Oconee County citizens working today than ever before. Key word is ever. Please don't talk to me how it was wonderful in the textile era. It was great, don't get me wrong. I had family that worked in textiles. But we now have more people working in Oconee County ever, period. If you look a little bit deeper, if you look at the latest report from the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce, from December 2016 to December 2017, Anderson County had a net gain of 270 residents in Anderson County working. Pickens County had a net gain of 130. We, Oconee County, had a net gain of 720. Do your math real quick. We've had more job growth over the last year than Anderson and Pickens County combined. Let that sink in for a minute. Again, you look at the number of citizens employed, it's got a very strong trend line. When I talk about $432 million in capital investment, what does that mean? That means the growth in the FELO. So we, the economic development partners, you, the Planning Commission, us all working together, we've got an additional $1.3 million coming into the county on an annual basis. That's helping to diversify our property taxes. Also, along with that, the manufactured depreciation reimbursements are up nearly $300,000. Again, that's not taxes on the citizens, that's through economic development good practices. Switching a little bit, I want to talk about kind of the other side of economic development. So yes, we've had successes with bringing in new projects, allowing expansions, being on the good end of consolidation decisions, much like Olbrich. Many people don't realize Olbrich was facing a decision. What should we do? Should we close Westminster? Should we close Oregon? I think you know the answer to that. They closed Oregon. They kept Westminster open. So we've been very, very fortunate. But the other side of the side of economic development where we all get pictures in the paper and we cut ribbons and we all celebrate and glad hand, the other side of that is really the community development side, what we call the placemaking side, the Destination Oconee side. This was something that our county council recognized as an objective to focus on community planning and development, public access and planning, marketing, and bringing about additional funding around these subjects. So I won't touch on this. I'll kind of go through this real quick, but I won't read this to you each slide. But doing community planning, talking about downtown street audits, downtown overlay districts, other ordinances that need to be in place so that our downtowns can see a new light, can revitalize, can reach their full potential. Speaking of that, we worked with our downtowns, Walhalla, Westminster, and Seneca, to put into place a Downtown Development Corporation in Walhalla, an Economic Development Commission in Westminster, and then most recently a local development corporation in downtown Seneca. We also worked on facade grant programs in each of the three municipalities. We also worked on business incentive plans. Ones in Walhalla and Westminster are on the books, and our friends in Seneca will get theirs done here the next few months. We've worked on downtown design standards. We've worked on a inventory of buildings in each of the downtowns that are vacant and available. Talking about downtown street audits, so we got a group of concerned citizens to walk around and try to put on their goggles and look at it from an outsider. One of the objectives, again, what can we do that's very easy to make it look better? One of those, as you see, is a trash can. That's what it used to look like. It was broken. That's not who we are. That's not the first impression we want our friends when they come into Walhalla or any of our downtowns or any portion of our community to see. So we paid for new trash cans. That was pretty easy. And now they look a whole lot better. Same thing, facade grant improvements. This is the back of the former Red Cross building in downtown Walhalla. And through that downtown facade grant program, that's what it looks like today. It's amazing what you can do by working together. Public access, something that, again, we're very blessed by our natural resources, by our outdoor recreation. But a lot of times it's a little hard to find out where some of these rafting outposts are, where the trailhead is for a hiking trail. We've got some signs that lead us almost there, but maybe not all the way to that parking lot or to that disc golf course. So we've done a lot of condition assessments to understand, our parks, kind of what's the latest and greatest. Are they in good condition, bad condition? Where are our areas of improvement? Working with Phil Shirley, we did a nice inventory all across the county. And again, we're looking at how do we get people to come into our community and get them from point A to point B. So something you're going to see in the next couple of months is a wayfinding initiative. Again, to get people, much like these signs show you, once they enter the county and they're trying to make their way to Devil's Fork, get them to point A to truly the parking lot, or get them to Chaw-Ram, to get them into the county, get them on their path, and get them to their destination. Along with that, we want them to leave those special places and find our downtown. So we are working with our friends in each of the municipalities to, again, get them off 123, get them into downtown Seneca, get them off 76, get them into downtown Westminster, and so forth. So you're going to see some wayfinding signs go up as quickly as possible, working with our friends at DOT. Marketing, I think you've all heard about Think Oconee, a great initiative. It's something that started out as a buy local campaign, and now it's more of a way of life campaign because we each can take a little bit of ownership in improving the community. One of those areas is in litter. It's a sore subject, it's a bad subject, but it is a subject that we cannot cure alone. So we organized the first Great Oconee Cleanup last year, and the second one is coming up in April. But through that initiative, we picked up over 6,000 pounds of trash in roughly a 2 separate day initiative, roughly 5 hours, with volunteers. So it can be done. I was reading in the paper, I guess about a week ago, our friends at the Sheriff's Office always gets accused of not doing enough. If you read that ad that Ms. Brock put together, they picked up 6 tons with a T, tons of trash last year. So it's being done. Obviously, we're not there yet. We got a whole bunch of trash to be picked up, but it takes all of us. So think Oconee. When you're in the parking lot and you see a piece of trash, bend over, pick it up. If you live in a neighborhood, you come out and you exit onto, let's say, Highway 76 or 123 and see some trash, pick it up. Think Oconee. We all can play a role in the betterment of our community, along with talking positive about our community. We all have friends and allies and church mates and people we do business with, and we touch a lot of people. Are you speaking highly of Oconee County? Are you inviting people to come live, work, and play and invest in our community? I hope so. I hope you are thinking Oconee County. Switching gears slightly, talking about product development. This is something that I know you're working on, and I know you're at least mindful of, but things are changing. Very quickly, 3 industrial parks are taking shape. As you know, thanks to the citizens of Oconee County, we own 4 industrial parks. 1 is full, and we're working on 3 others. So Tuesday night, tomorrow night, our county council is going to weigh a decision to accept a bid in the amount of roughly $100,000 to take out the trees in the Seneca Rail Park. This is being funded via a grant, so don't think that county resources are tackling that because it's coming through a grant. I hope that council supports that initiative because if you drive out there today off Shiloh Road, this is the former Propex building. The building itself is full. Johnson Controls and Borg Warner are in there for warehouse and distribution space. And then the CAT buses, the Proterra buses, are housed in the front 30,000 square feet overnight, and that's where they're maintained. So the building is fully operational. We are looking to develop the land to clear out the trees, and then roughly in June start building the new road into the industrial park. Because again, if you go out there today, tonight, tomorrow, it's trees. You can't go anywhere. You can't even put boots on the ground. As you know, it's a tough sell. Excuse me. because most people, cannot see a tree through a forest. So we do have to knock some of these trees down, to allow people to actually see the lay of the land. That's a 120-acre industrial park served by Norfolk Southern in a new market tax credit zone. Nothing like that in upstate South Carolina. Very quickly, continuing to talk about product, Golden Corner Commerce Park. This is another grant that we secured to get a new sign put at the Golden Corner Commerce Park so that people know that is the Golden Corner Commerce Park. That is not the hayfield. It's been called different things over the years, but this is the Golden Corner Commerce Park. It may look like this. We're going to develop 3 renderings and bring it to County Council for their approval of what that sign should look like. But we have roughly $80,000 to pay for whatever sign they want it to look like. So the other thing that you'll see taking shape probably around the 1st of summer is a spec building. As many of you know, we've owned this property since 2005. Unfortunately, it really hasn't gotten the shot of caffeine that it needed until recently when we completed the sewer main to that area. That sewer is live and active. So if you see that little kind of bluish shaded building there, a square, that is the pump station. It is live and active. And we are moving forward with a spec building there. So as long as Mother Nature cooperates, we should have a building sitting in the Golden Corner Commerce Park by the end of the year. It is a 50,000 square foot spec building that is expandable to 100,000 square feet. Sometimes spec is a bad 4-letter word, but know that we've had success around that subject where RBC Aerostructures is located. That was a spec building, and they are a supplier to Boeing with roughly 60 employees and close to an $8 million investment. Same thing with the other spec building. That's where Liftech has their second operation. It was a 40,000 square foot building. It was expanded to 80,000 square feet, and they are in there today. So one reason we need it, we don't have an inventory of available buildings. If someone calls me right now and says, hey, I need a 55,000 square foot building 10 minutes from the interstate, we don't have that in Oconee County. So I got to tell them to, hey, go down to my friend Burris Nelson in Anderson, or call my friend Mark Ferris in Greenville, or go the other way towards Toccoa and call them because we don't have it. That's not something I want to do. When our phone rings, I want to satisfy that client, satisfy that need, and get them in this building as quickly as possible, and then move on to the next project. So we need that. Right now, if you look at our available industrial space, we've got a 20,000 square foot building beside Sandvik on 123 that can be expanded to 40,000 square feet. We've got the former Beacon facility in Westminster. We've got the former TaylorMade building in Westminster as well, keeping in mind that 200,000 square feet has a tenant in it. Our friends from Itron are using about 70,000 square feet in there. So that building is not empty, contrary to popular belief. The Covidien building, that was 220,000 square feet, was sold. Good or bad, I guess it's good for our local economy. It's bad that we don't have that building for a potential manufacturing user. I think everyone knows. I know that Adam has dealt with the owner. They bought that building for roughly $1.9 million, and they're going to turn it into a boat storage facility. So if you know anybody looking for a place to store their boat, here in the next few months, they can store it at the former Covidien facility, along with their RV or really anything else they want to store there. So again, good that there's no building on the market. It's back on the tax rolls. But bad that we don't have a big, because during the heyday of Covidien, there was roughly 600 people working there. So yeah, hated to see that one go. Talking about OITP real quick, our third child. I think everyone knows we moved 1.1 million cubic yards of dirt. That yielded us basically what you see there, an additional 5 sites, keeping in mind that we have the 50,000 square foot pad still available. The 300,000 square foot pad was bought by Baxter that makes the inside door panel and inside trunk panel for BMW X5s and the future X7. And now, again, we have flat dirt for end users, which that's a big selling point. Time is money. And when we stand out there and be like, hey, you can take this hill down, it's going to cost you $600,000 in 3 months, they drive down the road. That's a losing argument. But no longer. Now we have roughly a flat, close to 100 acres of flat dirt that we're excited about on top of Tri-County Tech and the future Hamilton Career Center. I think most of you know Tri-County Tech's a little ahead of schedule. They're looking to wrap up construction in May and then start moving in. I think there's a groundbreaking, ribbon-cutting type scenario in early August, and then I think it's August 20th, mid-August, let's just say mid-August, they will be open. And that is a manufacturing-centered campus, meaning that it's not a place to go learn English, it's a place to go learn mechatronics, industrial electronics, logistics, and other manufacturing needs of our industrial base now, currently, and also into the future. So we're excited to have that campus open. And then with Hamilton Career Center, they're continuing to do planning around that and looking to break ground, even though it's flat and essentially a pad. They'll start moving some things in 2019 with a August 2020 opening date. So I hope all three of these parks are on your radar because, again, if you look at Golden Corner, I don't know who the end user is going to be, but there's going to be someone in that park taking a left out of that park, going through downtown Fairplay. Someone's going to follow the money trail. There's going to be some kind of fast food located there in the not too distant future. We are talking about a Sewer South extension down there. Sewer's coming at some point. So I know that quasi downtown Fairplay is on your radar. When you talk of the Seneca Rail Park, again, a lot of truck traffic coming out of that, taking a right onto Shiloh Road. If you take a left, you go to downtown. It's not where you want to be if you're a trucker. So you take a right, and then you're on Wells Highway. And you're either taking a right on Wells Highway and going back towards Borg-Warner, or potentially down Highway 59. I think friends that live on Highway 59 can attest that they've seen an increase in truck traffic on that road. And it's only going to get busier. Let's keep in mind the major north-south thoroughfares in this community is Highway 59 and Highway 11. So if you're coming from the interstate, no matter if you're going from Highway 11, exit 1 to Salem, you got to take Highway 11. That's our main north-south thoroughfare. So I know that that is on your radar with Golden Corner. Again, Shiloh Road, you can take either a right on Wells Highway, hit 59, or you can take a left on Wells Highway and hit 123, depending on where you're going, who your end user is going to be, where you're going to deliver. Same thing with OITP, keeping in mind that, you know, Tri-County Tech is open in August of this year. Keep in mind this year. So the gas station there is going to see a lot of traffic, increased traffic. Good place to be for a flea market across the street and a church, but they're going to have traffic. There's going to be traffic. You're roughly, I don't know, 4 miles to Walhalla when you take a left out of that industrial park. So my friends in Walhalla are going to see an increase of traffic coming through there, and hopefully they will stop and buy gas and buy Snickers bars and go to the Arby's and Carolina Pizza and spend some money. But keep in mind, there's going to be, I don't know, let's just say 200 college kids inside that park. There's going to be Hamilton Career Center in August 2020, which, I don't know, about 300, I guess. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's certainly more than there is today. So as you're talking about, you know, items to address, I was asked to give a little bit of an opinion, good or bad. You know, we've got jobs. We're very blessed with the amount of jobs in our community. Whether you want to be a nuclear engineer, you want to sell real estate, you want to work in insurance, you want to be a CNC operator, we've got jobs. You want to work in the chicken business, we got jobs. You want to sell cattle, I'm sure you can do that too. So we're very, very blessed. You saw in the paper here in the last week, Hobby Lobby is hiring roughly 50 people, paying $15 an hour. Think of that. That's going to put a wage issue on top of some of our manufacturers and some of our existing retailers. So wages are going to go up. That's a good problem, but it's sometimes a problem when some of our manufacturing is not paying exactly $15 yet, keyword some, because the average manufacturing wage in Oconee County, not taking into account Duke Energy, is $53,000 a year. So things are good. Again, on top of Hobby Lobby, probably by the end of the year, you're going to see some of the tenants at the Hartwell Village coming online. Keep in mind, what you see out there today is roughly phase one. You've got the Michaels, the Marshalls, the Aldi grocery store. You've got a new True by Hilton hotel. They haven't announced phase two of that project. They haven't even announced the 6 out parcels being sold. So there's more jobs coming, along with, you know, a condo-tel type project that we won't get into this evening. So when you know, let's just forecast 300, 400 jobs down on that side, on top of Hobby Lobby, on top of manufacturing. Again, we got jobs. We need people. We need people. Because again, if we continue to rely on people from Toccoa, Clemson, Anderson, Easley, wherever they may be, to come into the community, that continues to put a strain on our infrastructure, that continues to put a strain on that whole urban sprawl type topic. So what do we need to do? I think this body has continued to try to put their arms around, you know, workforce housing. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know there's things that the Planning Commission can do in partnership with the council, and that is to look at targeted areas. I mean, it doesn't take a genius or a high-priced consultant to say, all right, infrastructure's here, hospitals here, retail's here, schools are here. Oh, there's a vacant 30-acre tract right there. That's probably where a developer needs to be. So maybe there's some listening that can be done with housing developers to say, what do you look for? And typically it's just what I said, access to infrastructure, schools, the major shopping areas, things like that. And that's generally where they're going to try to locate. So maybe there's some target areas that we can go ahead and identify. Maybe, again, higher density. I know the commission continues to look at the ordinances and zoning and things like that, but, you know, to get the price point where it needs to be, because what I passed out, you see what the average price is going for, $260,000. That's a good thing, especially if you're in the real estate business, because that's a good commission check. But, you know, it's prohibitive to getting college students that just finished Clemson University back in December, and they have a degree in mechanical engineering, and they're looking to go work at Schneider Electric. There's no place to live for them. Our apartments are all at capacity. I'm not just talking about student housing. They got a very low vacancy rate. As much as we want to think that a college student that just lived in a apartment with marble countertops and big screen TVs, I don't think they're going to go into some of our downtowns and do some revitalization initiatives, keeping in mind they really don't have the disposable income to bring a cottage built in 1960 up to 2018 standards. So what can we do to encourage developers to come in and build on smaller tracts of land? I don't know, but I know that y'all put your heads together, you're smarter than me, and it can be addressed. Maybe there's inclusionary zoning. I know the Z word sometimes is a bad thing, but as Adam can attest, because he's a lot smarter than I am, there's ways to encourage workforce housing through the use of zoning, so that when the next big subdivision goes on Lake Kiwi and it's priced $600,000 for that little 3-bedroom, maybe you dictate through the inclusionary zoning that out of the 30 homes, 3 have to be priced under 180. I don't know. That's just a what if. It can be done. Other communities are doing it. I know sometimes developers don't like it, but it can make the numbers work, especially when it's done of scale and it looks nice. Again, it's a smaller size, obviously. Instead of being that 6-bedroom, $600,000 home, maybe it's the 2-bedroom, or maybe it's a little small townhome project. I don't know. But other communities have figured it out. I'm sure we can too. You look at the permitting process. You talk to anybody in business, time is money. The permitting process, the more we can do to expedite it, and I know the Building Codes Department has done a wonderful job around that subject. You know, is there anything else we need to do? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. When you look at encouraging development, sometimes you do have to reduce fees, incentives. You know, getting $1 is better than getting 0. Is there a way if someone comes in and builds, I don't know, a tract home development? I know some people don't like tract home developments. I guarantee you the first one, the first one that comes in and does it, will sell out pretty quick. I've got an employee in our office that, you know, she went to put an offer on a house and it was already under contract. It was on the market for 2 days. It was priced under 180. It's selling like hotcakes right now. But encourage the developer to come in. Maybe you reduce their fees. Can we work with the sewer commission to offset some tap fees and things like that? Again, bring everybody together, start working on it. I'm sure we can figure it out. The other thing I would say is the corridor planning. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I'm definitely not that smart. But just in my short 5-year tenure here, I've seen an increase in traffic on 123. It's not going to slow down. I mean, traffic's not going to go away until we as a society stop being so reliant on vehicles. And maybe we all start taking the cat buses more frequently, or we do some ride sharing. At some point, that'll happen, but it won't be within the next 10 years. So what do we need to do? I don't know, but we do need to look at, do we need all the curb cuts? Growth on 123. I think you all know growth is going to occur on Bounty Land and Sheep Farm Road. I'm sure one commissioner can attest that traffic on Bounty Land Road has increased. You've got the largest Catholic church in the county right there. You've got available acreage. I heard that one acreage is under contract, and others are looking. So now's maybe a good time to think of, hey, before that becomes Wild Wild West, maybe we need to do something. I don't know. Same thing with 28, same thing with South Highway 11. When you get to North Highway 11, past really Itron and the school, it does fit the description of a scenic highway. But South Highway 11, that's our industrial corridor. Really no going backwards on that one. I mentioned downtown Fairplay. Growth is coming that direction. I think, in our listening session twice, the residents understand that and they know that it's going to happen, but they also want it to look a certain way. So what do we need to do to work with those residents in that community so we satisfy their desires and also satisfy the market's desires? Last thing, infrastructure. I think you all know that we've got an aging infrastructure, whether you're talking water pipes, sewer pipes, a lot of things. What do we need to do? What can we do? And maybe the answer is we as a county cannot do anything. That's up to the utility provider. But if we don't encourage our utility friends to start addressing that, I mean, how many busted water pipes are we willing to look at before we all start realizing, hey, we need to start being a little more proactive? I don't know. I know that some of our utility partners have a lot of issues around water getting in the system. That's a cost to anybody. Anybody that's connected to the sewer is paying for that. So again, what can we do around infrastructure? What can we do around planning? Again, if we know that the next hot area is Bounty Land and Sheep Farm Road, and we know that sewer is not there, why don't we encourage sewer to be put there? What can we do? There's 100 acres, 4 corners. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy talk, and I've been accused of doing that before. But with that, I'll answer any questions. That gives you a quick synopsis that overall things are good, things are strong. We're in a good point, a good position right now. Who knows what the future holds? We're always one tweet away from our president getting things a little out of balance, but that's the world we live in. That's our reality. But what we try to control, we work hard on that with developing competitive assets, telling our story, and also working to diversify our economy. I think you all know we got an incubator in downtown Walhalla. It's full. It's got 10 businesses in there. There's a business from France in downtown Walhalla. Again, most people don't realize that. So again, we're very blessed. Whether you talk about manufacturing, you talk about small business, we've got a lot of new retail coming online. We've got new restaurants. We've got new entrepreneurs. We've got the agribusiness sector doing well. We've got a new farm center looking at some what-ifs. It's a good time to be in Oconee County, but what do we need to do so that my daughter, who is 7 years old, decides to live here? Future generations. This is not just our Oconee County, this is the future generations of Oconee County too, so that there's another element to this wall talking about the 300-year anniversary and how it looks. So I know every decision you take and you make is a tough one, but I challenge you to always look forward and know that the Oconee Economic Alliance is here to help. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for your
That was
presentation.
easy. You don't have any questions?
We trust you.
Man. All right. Well, thank you again. I appreciate everything y'all are doing. I know it's not easy. nor is the salary too high. But thank you for your time and your leadership.
Thank you. We like you. Okay. Go to item number 8, discussion on amending the Oconee County 911 addressing policy. Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir. So the planning commission is the final word in creating the policy for the E911 addressing. That's how any new house is given an address. Lisa Simmering, who does our GIS and does 911 addressing, has some issues over the course of time with the policy that we have. Her edits are in here, and she's the sole person who does all the 911 stuff. So all of her edits that are in here are based upon either simple typos or adding a couple shalls and shalls nots or changing examples. And those are located throughout the document.
Do you need a motion to approve it?
Oh, yeah, so you all would have to vote upon, make motions and votes to approve the changes she's put in here. Now, this is based upon, the last time this was updated was quite some time ago, was 2013. Seems like pretty much housekeeping, things of that nature. It's
Since she deals with it every day and knows the problems that she deals with, and I certainly don't, and I think that everything in here that I saw was reasonable, and made perfectly good sense from a person who is trying to explain where something is. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept it and move it forward to wherever it needs to be moved to, as her amendments.
Y'all approve it, there's an ordinance that comes in place that delegates it to y'all to approve it.
So then it's
Or
approved
update
and
this
make it
policy.
active? Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve it as amended and give it back to her to use.
Second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, you said this came from Lisa?
yes.
Okay. When you say she's the sole person that can issue 911 address, probably a little off topic, but we're on topic. What happens when she takes vacation or if she's sick or?
Oh, she doesn't get sick, sir. We do have backup, Casey, Neil, and
Okay.
that's not her data. Casey technically is the 911 addressing tech, but since it's so GIS reliant, Lisa does it, so we do have a backup.
Okay. Cause I've been up there and saying, well, Lisa's not here today. You gotta wait till tomorrow or when she comes back.
Oh, okay. I thought Casey handled that. I'll double check. I thought Casey was also doing that as well.
And she might be now, but I've had that experience before. And I said, it can't be just one person in this county that can issue an address. So if there needs to be redundancy there, if there's not already. That's my comment.
I'll bring that up to her. And I guess because she's technically not part of community development, Lisa isn't. She's part of IT, I believe. So I'll bring it up to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. One of our favorite subjects, the discussion for the traditional neighborhood development. Mr. Adams?
So I went to the Planning and Economic Development meeting, I guess the day after our last meeting, I want to say. And we had a lot of back and forth. And really, Mr. Kane had brought up the fact that a particular developer had said he couldn't do the development that he wanted to do, and that was the push for the TND, the traditional neighborhood development. So we're actually going to try to communicate with that developer and see exactly what is not possible, that they feel is not possible. And so we're kind of going to pause it. I can start working on the TND, but perhaps we should get a little more input from those people who feel that they can't currently build what they want to build inside of Oconee County before we start adding stuff to it. But if they did, yeah, so that's that. So, I don't know. That's probably all we need. We don't need any sort of motions or anything like that, unless we can talk about it some more, or.
Now, we wait on the developer, and I think they're gonna have a meeting as well with several. And, we'll start there after we have that meeting.
Perhaps we need to tour them down Bounty Land and Sheep Farm Road.
Perhaps, perhaps.
Okay, item number 10, the 2020 comprehensive plan.
All right.
Mr. Adam.
There's a few kind of general, I just put 2020 comprehensive plan because things come up so we can talk about. There's a few items on here that I think are probably necessary to talk about. One would be, are we gonna ask for $89,000 from, for Alta Planning? We did talk to procurement, and since they are our planner on call, we don't have to issue an RFP, although we can issue an RFP to see what the price range is. Also, so that's one thing to talk about. The other thing would be to ask the Ag Board, or formally ask the Ag Board to start on the agricultural element, because it kind of falls inside their wheelhouse, and they're supposed to advise the Planning Commission. And the third item would be kind of starting on this operating manual for the comprehensive plan update, because even if we do ask for the money, I think that we should go ahead and assume we're not gonna get it, and work from there, and if we do get it, great. And if not, we haven't waited whatever time frame that may be. So I guess my first question would be the money.
All right, any discussion on whether to ask for the money? I would suggest that maybe you could help come up with a list of some kind of what the money would go for if we're having to do it on our own. Give them just an outline, that way we could go to them and say, this is what it's gonna be used for, not just asking for it, and maybe get Alta to give us something on, if it's 89,000, how's it sort of split up? And maybe they can give us something on that to present to council, to let them know where the money's gonna be spent and how it's gonna be spent, rather than just asking for 90,000 bucks. It might help a little bit to get the money if they know exactly how it's gonna be spent.
Where and how and why. One of the things about using an outside firm, in my opinion, and I've stated it before, but I want to make sure that we're stating it again, is that every person up here, while trying to help the community at large, has certain things of personal interest. I would assume that the same thing applies with county council. And for any one of us to try to be a facilitator of a meeting are going to bring personal biases to that meeting. And if we're up in a particular area, we're going to be giving more time to somebody versus less time to somebody, when our job as a facilitator at that time would be to get an overall feel of the need of that area. And as planning, if any one of us is up there trying to be a meeting facilitator in an area, I think that we would potentially be bringing our biases there. And so not only the how and the what cost, but why we need this, why we need a facilitator. Not to mention why we are going to need somebody to disseminate the information once we start getting that information. Unless staff can make that happen outside of their regular duties that they've been hired for.
So y'all think the 89, well, if we get to 89, then Alta will do everything. Compilate all the information they get and all, right?
There's a number of things that the staff will be involved with, regardless of, well, if we hire an outside consultant, they're probably not gonna do a lot of the grunt work. Like, we're still gonna put out the legal ads, because we're legally responsible for that. We're gonna pay for those too. All the incurred costs we're gonna end up paying for. So it's just like any other consultant. I mean, I can write up the legal ad, or we can pay them 3 times as much to write up the legal ad, kind of thing. Also, the GIS mapping, we can do all that. I already talked with Lisa Simmering from our GIS department, and she said she can do all the GIS mapping. That's her bread and butter. So that would be a reduction in cost. So that $89,000 isn't a check that we're gonna cut to someone, say, see you in 2 years. It's gonna be, billable hours. So the more stuff we can do in-house, the less the overall expenditure will be. And I think we have a lot of assets in-house, but the facilitation and the kind of getting all the data and doing something with the data is where the money will be very well spent, in my opinion.
What if we asked county for that amount, if that's the suggested amount, is that kind of the round figure that Alta has come up with?
Alta said anywhere between 89 for what we want to do and what we can do in-house. They've done up to $150,000, they've billed up to $150,000. They recommended $89,000. I'm assuming they've built a contingency into that, of some degree, and it's an assumption, but this is what they do day to day. So I imagine that they don't want to be left out on the hook halfway through. So 89,000 is what they asked for.
And then, well, what I was gonna say is perhaps ask county if they cannot see the justification for that, then is there a number that they could find as a way to either, I know you're hourly, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Somehow either compensate for or allow for someone to do those jobs, the facilitation, and even more importantly, the gathering and studying of the data, and then the dissemination of the results when they get it. You know, if they think that you ought to be able to do it for 25,000 in overtime, you know, they should come back and tell us what then is reasonable if what we're asking for is not.
I do think that we need to be able to present them something saying what this money is being used for. Simply to go and say, can we have a blank check? If I was on county council, I wouldn't say yes. I would say no. However, this is a comprehensive plan of our county. This is supposed to be, what do the citizens of our community deem necessary and want and desire moving forward into the future? This is probably one of the most important documents in that regard that exists. And if county council hasn't budgeted the last 10 years to be saving money, then they've been irresponsible in their duties on providing for the county. But I think we need to be able to convey that in a sensible manner to this is what's needed and why and where the importance of it lies, if you can provide that documentation. Because again, us simply asking for a blank check, I would say absolutely not, if I was in their position, until I understood all the importance of it.
What budget amounts do we normally have?
For the comprehensive plan,
What does the planning commission spend in a year
on itself,
on anything?
the planning commission doesn't, I don't believe, has spent any money last year out. All the money for advertisements for, say, your budgets come from community development, as does printing. In my time, that comes out of community development. You all don't have a budget that spends money, I don't think. You all get paid $25 a meeting, that's what, $600 times 70 y'all, so.
So we normally don't spend anything, and this year we want to spend $89,000.
Plus the 25 grand for the corridor, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's not uncommon for the planning commission to get money at various times depending on what's going on. They have spent money, it's just, we don't have a budget that we can draw money from. We have to ask for everything. So, I mean, they spent money on the last comprehensive plan 10 years ago. So it's not uncommon. So do we want to make a motion for Adam to draw this letter up and bring it back to us at our next meeting?
I think we need to see it.
I'll work on a breakdown for you all. I'll do what I can to get from Alta. They may be a little more propriety. They may be a little more, I don't know, maybe they won't be able to just be like, yeah, this is how much it is. I'll work on a breakdown for what I'll assume the costs are from my side. And then I'll work on seeing what I can get out of Alta.
As far as what they're going to do, surely they can provide us information as this is, when you start this process, these are going to be the functions that we're going to take on.
Yes.
Of that, whether it's in the same document or not, if you can show us some of the, hey, they provide this, but we actually can get this in-house, that would also be helpful. Again, in-house as part of the normal functions, not in-house if we have to hire 2 extra staff people, and then we can do it.
Gotcha. All right, so
I assume, Gwen, were you around for the 2010 review?
Thank gosh. Well, I was here when they
I
started.
want to know who came up with 250 pages.
No, I was here when they started the review, and you know how long that took.
Yeah, no, I just, unless we have somebody that knows what they're doing, we're gonna get nowhere quick. And again, with our abundance attendance, I don't know when we take this thing to the public, are there gonna be 2 people at the meetings or 50 people at the meeting? I don't know if people, at large, are they gonna be, do we have any, I guess my question for asking, do we have any historical data? Do 10 people come to these meetings, 50 people come to these meetings, 100, when these things are advertised? And I know you weren't here, obviously Mr. Root wasn't here, so, I'm afraid to point the next guy, but, when we're talking about having 30, 40, 50 meetings, it sounds, that sounds like a lot when we have 2 people come to planning commission on average, or 3, or, whatever the number is. So I'm just going, is there a historical reference we can use to
I'm sure Ryan.
kind of try and keep this
Ryan
thing
there.
simple and not go off the deep end?
If you wanted to reach out to Ryan, I guarantee he can tell you.
I don't know who Ryan is.
Mr. Hunia, would you like me to call him?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
He-
All right, okay.
He was on the commission when it was founded, so
he's a
he's been
20-year
here for
retiree.
every
Certainly.
comprehensive plan.
The more information, the merrier.
That said, and to expound on what was being said, find out from Alta if they help in bringing information out from the public. Getting that participation or that voice, or what mechanisms do they use to try to get public input? If this is as simple as, oh, we've got to do this for the state and let's write a few pages and call it a day, then that's what we do. But to me, this is an extremely important document. And either the county says it's an extremely important document to listen to the public, or the county commissioners say it's not important to listen to the public. And we then need to make that a financial determination.
Okay. Anything else? Adam, you wanna go over this?
Sure.
Draft paper you have here?
Yes, sir, and I'll break something in the middle of that. If you all would like to, the Agricultural Advisory Board exists to advise Planning Commission on ag stuff. Before it was voted on, I believe Mrs. McPhail brought up and made a motion, you all voted on adding an agricultural element to the comprehensive plan.
Right.
The Ag Board is well-suited to reach into that community very extensively and start working on that element. Now, even if we do get an outside planner, if that's the case, they'll take over the process, but we still have a very good resource in hand. So if we want to formally request them to begin work on the Ag Board or Ag element for the comprehensive plan, that would probably be a running start at this.
Do you need a motion for that?
It couldn't hurt to have one, yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion that we instruct staff to reach out and officially request the Ag Commission to start on ideas and concepts that they would like included in the Ag section of the comprehensive plan.
Is it just ag? Ag is extremely important. Are there other groups? I think that everyone needs to be encouraged to provide input at this point in time.
Yes, sir. 100%. It's going to be inclusive. Even though it's an agricultural element, we'll still get the, if we're going to go, like if we go off the deep end, we'll still get all the other sectors. But ag being such a base of our economy over the course of the years and being so unrepresented, it's not that we're just reaching out to agriculture people. We're going to create an element just like the population, just like all the other ones. We're going to create an element that gives the history and where we're looking at ag in the future for. So yes, if you want to make a motion to have, let's say, what's another, like an industrial element, let's just say.
I don't know what groups have a voice like ag has a voice, and we definitely need to reach out to them for input. I was just wondering if there are other voices out there, other groups out there, let's don't just limit it to that. Let's have staff reach out to any organized group.
Yes, sir, and that's actually on the next part of this month, the little fill in the blank thing. I need, because once again, we're going at this like, we're doing this. So I need input from all of you. I know you're a real estate realtor, and so you have maybe the Realtors Board. Mr. Kister has the Builders Board, maybe the Farm Board, the Financial Advisor Board. I need contacts for those people. I need those groups to start off with, just a running leap at those as well. So.
This you won't fill out and just give them back to you.
So I believe Ms. McPhail made the motion to ask the Ag Board for that. That was, I think, that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, so now the fill in the blank thing. We can go over this right here. I thought this would be a good venue for it. Once again, this is a rough draft. We can scrap it or keep it or whatever we like to. We just need I felt we needed something to actually hold on to and look at and say, okay, this is gonna be our responsibilities for the comprehensive plan if we're going to do it. The biggest reason to have the planning commission members at their individual, at the meetings is that it's your commission. I need help facilitating it. And even though there may be perhaps a bias, intentional or otherwise, you all are the public officials. So, so if you'd like to, we can work on this now, or how would you like to do it, sir?
Any input?
What if you sent this to us, and can you send it to us as a writable file?
Sure.
That we could fill out and return to you so that you could at least come back to us and say, I have, these suggestions, what's, reasonable?
Sure.
And you might get 7 that all say the same thing,
Sure.
and then it would be good. Is that
Be a miracle.
okay with everybody?
Great idea.
All right, we can do that. And anything I put on here is just a suggestion. We can, if we don't want to do, let's say like radio spots. I just put radio spots on there because I talk to Dick Mangrum all the time. If we don't do radio spots, we're done. I mean, none of this is set in stone. And then the list of stakeholder groups to contact, the very last item just has one little dot next to it. That's me asking for your input for those people, the builders groups, the VA, any group that you belong to or you can think of that we can reach out to is what that space is for. Cool, all right, that was easy.
Okay. If there's not anything else, we will go to number 11, the list of 18.
The ominous list of 18.
Mr. Adams, we'll let you.
Sure, so you all, I showed this to you all said you had a problem, there was issues, we saw issues, you all saw issues. We went to Planning and Economic Development, they saw issues, they sent it back to us to fix said issues. So tonight, I'm not looking to, I don't think, and that we should try to solve each of these word for word, more along the lines of, for instance, the first item involving recording plats without recorded easements. I know Mrs. Lyles thought we shouldn't require that. I know Mr. Peterson thought we should. That's 2 different sets of language. That if you instructed me to, I could bring you 2 different sets of language. One saying, yes, we should, and one saying, no, we shouldn't. And then you all can decide, well, we're not going to. Versus, or you're saying you're going to, and you already have the language there. So we don't have to work it out word for word this evening, so much as we can just kind of see which direction I need to be working towards. So, for instance, the first item, I know that there's 2 conflicting points of view here regarding the easements. So if you instructed me to, I would create 2 different sets of language to represent both those sets, both those ideas. Or we can work it out word for word, if you want. That way you can punch it out here versus, let's just say, I know Ms. Lyles isn't here tonight, and I know that she did not want us to have recorded easement, at least in the last conversation. So if I just write language that says we should have it, then I've perhaps created something that's gonna put time and effort into something that I really can't do anything with.
I would recommend that you do that, especially on this first one, is to come up with language on both sides, and then we can bring it back at the next meeting and see how we want to go at that point. If you want to go with having it, or not requiring it. Anybody else?
That sounds good to me. Yeah, that sounds.
Okay, so for the next one, we have two definitions for the word lot. You think we should just have one? Is that probably, yeah,
Just
all
have
right,
one.
just. Number three, there's a minimum lot size for subdivisions of 0.57 acres. That's based upon an old DHEC standard, that didn't ever really actually exist.
How can we have a subdivision on 0.57 acres?
Each lot.
No,
That's
each
per lot.
lot would be 0.57 acres. We can work on scratching that, or we can work on not scratching that and adding information about, a minimum lot size if you all chose to have one.
Isn't the comprehension of it being DHEC standard based on their standard for a septic system?
And that was completely anecdotal. They never actually had that in there.
Never actually.
I went and talked to our DHEC people, like, yeah, we always told people that because we want to have to go deal with little tiny lots. But it turns out to be not the case. And that's paraphrasing. I'm sure they had very professional words to say what I just said.
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. So we wrote code based upon what we knew to be the truth. But it's not necessarily required. So we can definitely, we can write language that shows it, that doesn't show it, that changes that.
Should we scrap it, take it out?
We can say base it on the underlying zoning district. So say like the Lake Residential District, they have a 1/4 acre minimum lot size. We wouldn't have to put 1/4 acre in there. We would say based upon the underlying zoning district.
What is staff's recommendations?
I'd probably bring you that. I'd also probably delve into something regarding the Lake Overlay District and trying to get ahead of any potential issues with people saying that, because a lot of lakes control free district. So,
If DHEC addresses this issue, do we need to also address it?
they don't do anything with land use sizes. They just put this in, whoever put this into our code, based it upon what they thought DHEC did. And DHEC didn't actually have a codified, to my knowledge, a codified 0.57 acre minimum. They don't do land use sizes. So it's actually not handled by DHEC. It's handled by the municipality or the zoning or the county.
If I don't have any objections, I'm gonna let Tom speak since he's just sitting there dancing.
Adam's absolutely correct about the .57. It has never been in regulation. It never was. We had DHEC come in here and testify that it wasn't. 2, they do take into account lot size. When we create a subdivision plat, we record we send all this down to DHEC. DHEC goes over all this stuff, and they make sure that for the average size, we tell them the average size of the house and what we think we're gonna be doing there. They will make an evaluation, and they will figure out about how much area is gonna have to be there for a septic tank and for the reserve area. And so if your lots aren't meeting that, it's real simple. They won't approve it, period. As long as you meet the guidelines, and they kind of sort that out on their own, because the houses could be different sizes, and septic tanks are all based on bedrooms. So, before that subdivision ever gets back to Adam, that's all resolved. You don't have to worry about the size of a lot, because DHEC will take care of that.
Thank you, Tom.
Sir.
So, what do you think? Should it be referenced in it at all?
I mean, I'd probably let Adam go through these, come back with his recommendations, strike it, change it, and then, because we could sit up here for 4 hours and go, we started to last time. And, clean them up, and then we can vote on the final language, I guess. Does that make sense?
I can,
Whatever number we put down, if DHEC's got something to say, they're gonna trump us anyway.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think we
correct.
can eliminate the lot size and just say refer to the zones and
And DHEC.
DHEC approval,
Yeah,
right? I
that
mean,
sounds-
We don't need to put a specific size lot, right?
that is correct. It's not required.
Not trying to add to your work, but like Brad said, can you take all 18 of these items and fix them the way they need to be, bring the language back to us for us to read over and approve or disapprove or change, or this would make it a lot simpler than us trying to go over every single item. We need some kind of language to know where we're going here. And y'all know what is needed, like the definition for a lot.
Correct.
You
That's
know,
not-
you can write that up and then we can look at it and make sure it's the way it's supposed to be and vote on it. And the definition of subdivision or minor subdivisions, all this stuff, this is all for you to work out. I mean, for you to have an easier job when somebody comes in the door there. But if you can get it in some kind of language that needs to be put in there, then we can look at that from that point on and decide if that's what we want or not. And because you know what it needs to be, we don't. Even looking at this, we still don't know what it needs to be. It needs to be in the language that you can read and translate to the people that you deal with.
Okay, so for the things that are cut and dry, like, I feel like a lot, definition of a lot, we should probably just have one definition of the word lot. That's pretty simple. For things that could have multiple angles, I'll provide multiple options. I don't wanna, this shouldn't be a staff, the staff initiated opinion, like, oh, well, they said that we should do that. It really should kind of come, you all should have some input to it. So I'll give you something that's probably not a finished product for any of the ones that have options to it. But like, you all are responsible for naming subdivisions. I'm gonna strike that one out. I'm just gonna go on a limb here.
Go on a limb.
But for ones involving, say, like junkyards could definitely be contentious, even though we have a definition for them, so.
And then I'm assuming that number 11 and number 13, that you've put those in there because you see that as a weakness of this. So if you would go ahead and strengthen it to the way you feel like it needs to be strengthened based on moving forward into the future, say, here's my suggested.
So those are both developed from, well, 11, that's regarding junkyards. And that is developed because I also dabble in code enforcement for the county, and it's a regular phone call for me. It's probably at least a couple a month, when someone has a junkyard by definition. So yeah, all these things have been generated not by, I got bored and started reading our code. They did get generated from just, what do we do with this? So if you have any specific input on any specific one of these, I'm of course always open for a suggestion. And yeah, that's that. But if you have any specific input, you just read them, you thought that had a little thought.
I do have the number 6, the RVs. Who's gonna enforce that because I mean, down there near us, that's half the communities.
So the RV language is generated by the, Scott Carroll brought up to me, it was generated by the International Building Code, the IBC, that we utilize. And it strings it together as RVs are temporary structures. And we already have the International Building Code, it's already part of it, it's just not visible. And I admittedly have waffled on this a little bit, because as Mr. Kister brought up in the past, that, depending on who's sitting at my desk or who's sitting in the building codes department, people kind of take a stand somewhere. And I'm not looking to, cost of housing is very high in this county. And I'm not looking to, add to our workforce housing issue. So that's gonna get played with a little bit. I don't know. I know I brought it to you as an issue. I still think it is an issue. I just don't wanna cause issues for other people down the line. So that one's kind of I'm in the middle on that one now.
Okay.
But it already is part of our code. It's currently part of our code. Just not the zoning code where people can see it's part of the International Building Code. So it is enforceable as it stands.
When you have time.
Right.
In your spare.
It's gonna be an honor system.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And how do you figure out if someone's living in something more than 6 months, 180 days a year? It's
You drive by
If he's got a
There.
porch.
in your spare time.
in my spare time. Hey, hashtag overtime.
We have a whole neighborhood going down towards South Cove.
South Cove.
It's all RVs, and we also have one in Foxwood Hills. And I know they've been living there more than 6 months. So how do we enforce it? We can't do anything with those. We can, but it'd be sort of, ridiculous to, they've been living in them for years now, and then all of a sudden, the county comes to, hey, wait a minute, you gotta move.
Right, once again, that would negatively affect possibly people who are less than able to have other options. Like I said, I'm not trying to push people out. Workforce housing here is an issue. You're not, generally speaking, you're not living in an RV because, like, maybe you're touring the country, but if you're living in an RV full-time, that may be your only option. So, I'll look at it carefully before I bring anything.
I mean, some of these, to me, are just, clean up some typos or clean up some things. Some of these, could balloon into a lot of work or a lot of regulation, so I think we take a stab at having you clean up the easy ones, and then if we gotta deal with the hard, I mean, there's some things in here that, I think we could probably eliminate half this list pretty quickly, and then.
Another half will be out. Yes, sir. The biggest one for me, as of late, it's for some reason, it's just been piling on, it's the very last one, number 18, is our private road standards. In the same sentence, it goes, the county has no input into private road standards, except for all this input that we have for private road standards. So that's somewhat of a priority for me as well.
And you can work with our roads people and come up
Yeah,
with
yeah,
something.
Mr. Reed is fantastic.
Okay, if staff can do that for us, we'd appreciate it.
I will take a stab at it. Yes.
Any further discussion on this subject? Any old business? Any new?
If I can just, the fill in the blank part for the comprehensive plan, I have to have, for the meetings on Monday, I have to publish all that stuff on Wednesday prior to that. So if you're gonna have any input for our comprehensive plan, like, plan for the plan, I would need that by the Wednesday beforehand. And I'll send you the information ahead of time in the notification, so.
Can we just everybody try to get it in by this Friday? And that would make it a whole lot easier on Adam.
So yeah, today's Tuesday, it'd be a week from this Wednesday is when I would need
He's
some.
sending us another email.
Yeah, he's gonna send us another email that we can write on. Okay,
And we're back on regular meeting schedule, right?
yes. New business?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Excellent.